Sara Levin, the Artful Inker. You may have found me on my blog, theartfulinker.com. I'm also the Artful Inker on Pinterest, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Thank you, Stephanie, for hosting World Card Making Day. As you may or may not know, if you use my host code when you shop today, you will be entered into a drawing for prizes from both Stephanie and myself. So I'll just set this off to the side. For today's card, we're going to be using the Poinsettia Petals bundle with the poinsettia dies. These can be found in the Stampin' Up mini catalog. And let's get started with this. So first, I've got a layer of Whisper White here and a water painter and a piece of paper toweling and my Coastal Cabana ink pad. And let's just squeeze a little bit of ink down into the barrel of, there we go, and get this good and wet and moving around. And you're just going to do a really rough watercolor here. Okay, and then we're going to set that aside and let it dry while we move on to our next steps. So let me move this ink out of the way. And next I've got the poinsettia that is a complete poinsettia versus the layers. And we're going to ink that with Magenta Madness. I'm loving the bright colors. Okay. And then let's move this over a moment. And then I've got my Just Jade ink and one of the holly leaves. And we're just going to stamp that holly leaf 3 times. I like to just set my photopolymer stamps on the ink pad rather than tapping to pick up the ink. And we're going to stamp one more thing here and then come back to these. And let's find that sentiment and line this up on my grid sheet. This is a piece of Coastal Cabana, and I'm stamping the sentiment in Just Jade. Now, let's make sure this is straight, because with this stamp, the happy is straight, but the holidays has a little movement in it. So if you're eyeballing this like I am, you want your cardstock to be straight. Okay, so let's set this aside and come back to these. And we're going to just slide our tray open here. Looks like I've used all of my Just Jade that I had squeezed in there. Are you all playing with the in colors? Do you have favorites? And I have to tell you, I'm live challenged in that I cannot read comments and craft at the same time. So I will come back and look at comments afterwards. So apologies for not answering questions as we go along. And I'm just doing a rough brush in. No skills required. Let's just pop this out of the way now and do the same thing with our Magenta Madness and squeeze a little ink in here. And we're just going to give this a quick brush. Now you may ask why I didn't paint this to begin with, and you want to give your ink, or I wanted to give the stamped ink a couple of moments to dry so that I'm not bleeding the stamped design with my water. Okay, so let's close this up and pop it out of the way. And it's time to do a little work with my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So let's bring that up here onto the table. And we're going to start with the base plate 1 and then the specialty plate here and the brick and mortar 3D embossing folder. So we'll take our piece with the Coastal Cabana watercolor wash, and we're going to put it in so that it's oriented this way with the line, so that our bricks will be headed the correct way for this design on the card. And just roll this on through. And we've got an almost graffiti looking background piece to work with now. Take these out of the way, and we need to do a little bit of die cutting. So let me grab the other plates here. And we'll put this in and grab my dies, which I set aside here at the beginning. So we have the one die here for this complete poinsettia. Yes, I'm almost off camera. Sorry about that, folks. Oops, and it would help if I put the cutting side down. I'd have run that through and thought, why is this not cutting? Okay, so let me grab one of my pieces of washi tape that I've positioned on the side. And the holly leaf has a top and a bottom. The one side of the leaf has this bigger curve. And so if you look for that on the die and on the leaf, it'll be easier to match them up. Let me pop these out of the way again. And we'll have to run this through a couple of times. Have you all tried the new Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine? I know I was so excited to have it come out. I love that the plates are numbered for easy, I would say guessing, but it's not guessing, but for easily putting your sandwich together. And if you have questions about sandwiches for your different kinds of embossing folders, I've got a one simple trick video over on YouTube that covers the 3 kinds of embossing folders that we've had with Stampin' Up, so that you'll know which ones, which sandwich you need for whether you're using a 3D, a dynamic, or a regular embossing folder. Okay, and one more pass here to do this. And I guess we could make this a little more efficient. I've got a piece of silver foil that I need to cut, and the Ornate Frames dies. These are in the annual catalog. So we'll pop that on here and cut it at the same time we cut this last leaf. But this all rolls through so smoothly. I was worried that I might bounce my camera off its position here, because I'm doing it a little differently than I do when I record a video for YouTube. So I've almost completed my 30-day challenge that I set for myself with 30 cards and videos in 30 days. Today is day 26. Okay, so we have our brick and mortar piece here, and I need my dimensionals. And I'm very much in favor of being generous with your dimensionals. They're inexpensive, so no saggy bits. layers are good in my world. I'm usually a more is better in my card design. Although looking back at this last week, designs have been fairly clean. Okay, so let's put this on here. And I'm just going to grab my host code back in here if you would like to shop with me today or this week. So we're going to put dimensionals on the back of the poinsettia. And let's grab a mini dimensional here for this last little petal here. I hate to have any of them sag. And I like to do a dry fit first. So we're going to pop these in place. Now I'm just putting a mini dimensional at the top of my leaves, not at both ends. Oops. I'll tuck that in there. And oops, that one didn't want to come along. And pop this one in here. And then we're going to go ahead and add this piece of silver foil that we cut with the ornate frames. And let's slide our design over just a smidge. Okay. So the foil and the stitching and the shape of this piece are a great little accent. And now we'll start and add these leaves. And so we're going to add multi-purpose glue at the other end. And that way we get the little bit of lift out at the tip, but we're not fighting the dimensionals and having to stack our dimensionals that are on the poinsettia for everything to appear to have some height and dimension. So are you all got to be traditional colors for Christmas, or do you like kind of, I'm going to say, out of the box, non-traditional colors, traditional designs, or something a little more modern, different? Okay, now before we put that down, we need some of this pool party sheer ribbon. If you haven't seen this in person, it's got a great little shimmer to it. And I'm just going to take some glue dots and my take your pick tool. Let me get my take your pick tool is like that third hand that we all need. So let's start here. And you want to give this a little angle cut. I think I'm a little further off the card than I'd like to be. Okay, and then we're just going to give this as if you have thrown the spool of ribbon down, or it's rolled off the table and kind of curled around in an organic kind of way. So we're just going to create that look of just random movement here with the ribbon. So sticking in a few of these mini glue dots. And there we go with our last one. Let me cut the end. I like to give it an angle cut. The ribbon is less likely to fray that way. And let's put these out of the way. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and pull the backing off of these dimensionals. And put this guy down. Get these scissors out of the way and clean this up a little bit. And now we're down back to our sentiment here. And I have been loving this Banners Pick-a-Punch that is in the mini catalog. And usually, instead of pushing this all the way to the end, I bring it back, and just so long as those two corners are even, you get an even punch. And there's a little less measuring to do if you're doing layering, because you're just nipping off a small amount. Okay. And let's put our sentiment in up here. Grab these out of the way. And then we need some bling. And let's see. Oh, didn't put this down straight. So we're just going to give that a tug up. And that's better. And grab my Take Your Pick tool. And let's put in a big piece of bling up here. And we'll do a couple more here. Oops, this guy's jumping away from me. Okay, and there we have a modern take on the Poinsettia Petals bundle in the mini catalog. I hope you've enjoyed this card. I hope to see you over on my blog, theartfulinker.com. And do subscribe to my YouTube channel and then click the bell so you'll be notified each time I upload a new video. And of course, there's shopping with my host code. If you shop this next week with my host code, in addition to the drawing entry that Stephanie will add, I will also be sending gifts out to all of the shoppers with this code. Thanks so much. Have a great day.